Without further ado, I want to yield the captain to DP for the Husker practice report.
It's just ending and just breaking up, and what you find out is, how are you? What you're just finding out is who everybody is in full, right? Actually see natural movement on the football field. Instead of all the talk, it's football, and they're learning. All of this is installation of verbiage, installation of movement. It's all installation.
So no actual mano right now. Now it's just teaching. It's just showing where you're going, how you're going to do it, what they're expecting, where you're supposed to be.
Yep, getting that usual verbiage down of where I need for you to be, how I want you to move to get there, locating spots within the whether it's the indoor turf or being outside, how to transition, basic stuff. You remember this is day 3 of it, day 4 of it, and so there's a lot of learning. It's a lot of learning for coaches, it's a lot of learning for players. Players haven't gotten into that athletic arrogance yet. They're just figuring out how to be on time and on purpose.
Were they flying around at practice? I mean, and how was the team camaraderie?
They're connected, and it's a word that they were using quite a bit in the room, was connected. I think I like the energy, and it sounds different and looks different than it did in the last couple of years. But that only means that it's different. Doesn't make it better, it just makes it different. We'll see what that means in the summer. But for 14 days of install, 13 days of install, that Rashawn, a lot of it is just understanding what a coach is asking for, getting information, lining up right, understanding some of the shout-out verbiage. Here's what I need for you to do. Here's what I want you to do. Communicate and unmask to a whole bunch of people in a loud space where other people are trying to communicate and trying to receive information as well. Look, they move well as a unit. I can say that easily, that they're moving well as a unit. They've communicated enough of this so that it looks good in front of company. You know the difference, right, of how things move when companies at your house, you move differently, you act differently. Yeah, that's the vibe, and that's as it should be, because they're just learning. Coaches are learning, players are learning.
Is there any music being played?
No, there wasn't any today, and that was kind of interesting because that wasn't really like the focus is on football.
Yes.
Like they have a full understanding that this coaching staff is new to the facility. Like this, except Coach Raiola, everybody else is learning the building. They're learning what it sounds like in the space. They're learning. The players are learning because most of them have new coaches. A lot of them are in a new location. So going out and trying to look unified, connected, and as a team, individuals are still playing. There was some scrimmage yesterday. There was some actual activity yesterday that we heard about. But what I can tell you is they're watching to see natural movement. They're trying to see whether somebody has athletic arrogance. Can they pick up? If they miss a call, if they blew a call, could they still end up making a play? Those people are standing out, and those names are becoming more known.
Bach, you got any questions for DP?
Yeah, usually I like especially the first look that you usually get as the media to go kind of see the new guys. Did anybody kind of stand out physically? I know a lot of people are kind of want to know about the first look at Jeff Sims, but especially, those Georgia recruits, any of the new guys kind of, you know this, you read about it, you see kind of their size as you're reading them on, but to see them in person, did anybody kind of jump out to you in person?
I would say that the guys that jumped out to me are the ones you would expect. Jeff Sims is a big dude. especially for quarterback. He's a big guy. Like you see him line up. He looks like an athlete. He looks like a guy who came from somewhere else. He doesn't. I mean, but let me also say this: in that quarterback room, that's a big quarterback room. I mean, Casey's small, Logan is small, but Torres, Harburg, and Sims, my goodness, like they're physical specimens. So Sims looks like a dude. He looks like a guy. His movement. I think the big issue for Sims is learning. He's learning a new offense. He's got a whole lot of new verbiage to learn. He's got a whole lot of new teammates to learn. And then things that he does naturally athletic, he will have to learn how they want him to do those things, right? Because they have a process for how they want him to get to the best position to fake a handoff, for play action. The footwork is different for each quarterback coach. He's learning it. That's today what they were learning. So when you watch films today, it was him trying to take a thing that he's probably done naturally for a very long time, and then having to learn it under this coaching staff and how they want it done.
Another question I think people would probably want to know, because I've seen reports of Tommy Hill being back at practice. Was there any Anthony Grant sightings?
I did not see him participate, but that doesn't mean he didn't. He wasn't. I would say he was. I would imagine that he was there. I did not see him. I learned this earlier today. I only speak on what I saw rather than what I didn't see. There was conversations because some folks were talking about that they didn't, that Casey Thompson wasn't at practice, but he was. And they asked me how I knew it. I said, because I saw him and I actually recorded video of him at practice. So I speak about what I know, not what I don't know.
So when you looked at the offensive linemen, did they look like they were coming together, like they were a group jelly?
They're gelling, but I mean, the thing, without Prohaska, the unit looks different. Like Prohaska's in a different jersey, and you know, a lot of folks are learning. You would imagine that with Ben Hart, Corcoran, Piper, Nori, the young man from Arizona State, his name skipped me for a
Ben
second.
Scott, yeah.
But that was the five. Yeah, that was the five that walked into first drill. So that's what you were paying attention to. Who were the first people out to teach the other people or lead the other folks into their drills? Those are the five. Now after that, left me a bit wanting to see more people of quality. There are a lot of bodies, but not all of those bodies look like they were ready for Big Ten football.
How about DP, when you look at the athleticism of that receiving core, who jumped out at you, you know, with having Betts back, who jumped out at you?
I have to be totally honest that I'm loyal, right? I'm loyal to, so we become fans of people who are like us. And Billy Kemp IV is like me.
Really?
Yeah, jitterbug, athletic, high IQ about football, naturally curious about the things that are going on around him. He's aware that he needs to be open to special teams. That may be his niche, but that he's explosive and he can help them if they let him. Now he's not a big dude, but he's a guy. I mean, look, he's a guy on the roster that had 2 60-plus catch seasons already in Power 5 football. Like, they can talk all that other stuff they want, but in the ACC, for a guy who's put up 60 and 70 catch years and has been productive in the kicking game as a return man, yeah, he's a dude that pops. I mean, this group will be as good. I think they've got 4 guys that they really, really like. And then waiting for the other guys, the returning guys to come back, right? You're waiting for to see Castaneda to see what he's going to be. He can also help them in the return game. As a matter of fact, Kemp mentioned that today. They've got dudes. Like, they've got dudes. Now, the question is, you've got to assimilate, and then you got to acclimate, right? So can they get in, learn the systems and play, build some relationship with whoever is going to play quarterback, and you've got a room with 6 quarterbacks. So each one throws it different. Each one looks, will lead you different, will eyeball you different, and then we'll get it to you different. So the receivers are only going to be as good as whoever's throwing the ball to them, whoever that is.
Kemp, is his height over or under Rico?
Oh, he towers over Rico.
Go ahead, Bob.
He is kindred to Rico in that he gains height with his hair. So, like, if he doesn't cut it, like, Billy Kemp looks 6 foot because just from the top of the curly fro. But yeah, he just looks like. I'm familiar with guys like him. He reeks a little bit of Des Moines to me.
We talked about the players and kind of your first impression on the players, and but the coaching staff's brand new. It's kind of first look at all these guys. There's different types of ways to do it. You can kind of be the rah coach or the kind of the quiet technician or whatever. Did anything stand out about these guys? And I think a particular interest will be on Garrett McGuire. I mean, just because of his age.
I don't. Let me say this. I look at coaches differently than players. And what I want to know from coaches is how they operate. How do they operate? What's their focus? Are they in control of it? There is a coaching arrogance that comes into play. And I can say this. I feel super comfortable with Tony White. Like, I could walk into a coaching room and connect with Tony White on how he does business, how he expresses himself, how much he cares about his responsibility and the people involved. Like, it just seems to me like, of all the things, removing the BS, Tony White could lead this team. Like, I don't have he may not have the most talent on the defensive side of the ball, but Tony White is going to get the most out of whatever talent they have because he cares. Like, he's literally seeking, well, what talent does this player use that I need that I can make him look good and make us look good with it? Like, he's not going to force round peg, square hole. Like, he's not trying to do that. He's going to make it so that whatever your skill set is, he's not only seeking it, he's stalking it. And he's trying to find, okay, who's going to be my third down pass rush guy who's just better at it than everybody else. And then he's open to, you know what, if I have to move people around, if I have to be fluid in how I coach them, if I have to be real specific about how I deal with this young man to get him to be the best version of himself for us, he's willing to do that. He makes me feel like he's a complete coach.
I'll be amiss if I didn't ask you about tight ends and Fedoni. I think he's one of the biggest X factors that we're going to need this year coming up. What do the tight ends look like, and how much is Fedoni practicing?
Yeah, so they've got him kind of on a pitch count. They've got him in a green jersey, so he's got to be, Matt Rule said that he was 100%, and that, Fedoni will probably be mad that he's holding him back a little bit. But, with those type of injuries, especially in high repetition, sometimes the coach has to outsmart the player and be smarter than the player and keep the player from doing more damage to himself. So he's restricting that. Arik Gilbert, we're waiting to see how how he develops, and you got to give him time to get acclimated. A.J. Rollins, same thing. Satterfield said today that he likes the group. He likes the room. He thinks that they're going to get production from some people not in that three that we just talked about, the three that everybody talks about. He thinks that, you know what, there may be some other guys there who can contribute, and they're all different. They're all different skills. They're all different body types, which, again, is the thing that I can check the box and say, okay, at least that gives me some comfort that he's not just coaching en masse. He's looking for the things that he wants to do in his offense and trying to find players with those skill sets, and he's planning on highlighting the skill that you have rather than the skill that you don't. He likes the different body types. He has everything he can want, some of those flex, those Vershawn flex guys that can do a little of this, a little of that. And then he's got some bigger guys that he can put out there in a slugfest. And then he's got some guys that are a problem in the passing game. I think he'll be able to utilize them all. But it is a project, a future forward project. It is not hey, we're ready for prime time right now.
Running backs. Which one of those running backs look like a sweatshirt All-American?
There's one dude that looks different than everybody. Gabe Irvin looks like a Sunday project.
Oh, yeah.
Just walking in the room, walking on the turf, lining up, putting his foot in the drills, putting his foot in, like he just moves with a higher level of athletic arrogance than everybody else. Like he's doing things more naturally than everybody else is working really hard to do. Like when he looks a step above Ramir Johnson. Like if you put them side by side, having them do the same things, Gabe looks a step above and beyond Ramir Johnson. That's just right now. That's what I would say to you.
Wow. I want to get you a couple more, and then I'll let Bach go. Then we'll let you go, DP. The defensive backs. If you had a corner and a safety that stepped up to you or stepped out that made you say, "Okay, I got to watch him," who would have been?
Well, Hartzog's the guy. Malcolm Hartzog is the guy. Like he, as good as he was last year in moments, he looks like he's molded that into some consistency, that he looks fluid on every play rather than on the play where he knows exactly what's happening. And Rashawn, you probably get that, right? That his comfortable movement when he knows what he's doing versus when he's hoping that he's guessing right, he's guessing less often. And he looks a little more comfortable in, hey, I can be right and be patient because I'm good enough to get there and make the play no matter what. Like I can make this play. Whatever play needs to be made, I can make it. The guy on the other side that they're talking about the most, the coach was talking about, was Omar Brown. Giving a specific where, at this point where they're trying to learn the verbiage, right? And their defensive calls that are being made. And sometimes you get them early in spring. Sometimes you get them. Sometimes you don't. Well, he missed the call, but he went and put his foot in the ground and made the play. Like he undercut the route and he got to the right place and undercut the route and picked off the ball. And I said, yeah, that's that thing, right? That jumps off the tape and jumps up to the eye is that even when he wasn't sure, he still got it done. He still got it done. So look, the defensive back group to me is the best room on the team.
Yeah, we got to change that. What about linebackers? Who showed up?
Well, the linebackers, and they're moving folks around. Javen Buddha's still he's in a green jersey, but they can move him down into that Rover. The usual cast of suspects. Reimer's practicing. Heinrich is not. But I think this team will be as the eyes will take you to the edge setters and the boundary setters, right? Those guys who look like, that looks familiar. That looks like a Sunday guy. That looks like a guy who's put in the work in the weight room. That looks like a guy who's strong. Chief Borders looks like a dude. His ability to move, closes well, and he closes with purpose. He closes with purpose, Rashawn. He looks like a dude that when it's time to make the play, he's not out there dancing. They mentioned John Bullock and said that they brought him down from safety and moved him into that linebacker position, and they think that he'll be able to help them inside and outside. Which again, bravo, right? That anytime you get an added win from somebody that you weren't counting on, bravo. Seth Malcolm, yeah, they've got some. Their thing is going to be health. Like if they can get healthy and stay healthy, MJ Sherman and Malcolm, they're gonna do fine if they can get healthy. But that is the same thing you can say about most of the positions at the University of Nebraska. They're going to have to get healthy and stay healthy.
Bach, you got anything else for DP? We held him up long enough.
All right, one more question for you. With verbiage here, you mentioned the Rover. That's kind of what Tony White's defense had with their fifth defensive back. Is that kind of in place of the nickel? If we see a guy listed on their roster as a nickel, is that a Rover or is that a different position?
No, the nickel is a different position, different responsibility. As Rover is going to be, as Tony White described it today, is more inside, and then that nickel will be slot outside work. So just think different responsibilities. Yes, man coverage versus one, middle responsibility, and run fill for the other. Simple, straight forward and backward drops for the Rover. Nickel will be responsible from middle of the field to the sideline with the hash line, with the hash mark as the kind of line for work.
Well, so follow up real quick. Would we see a nickel and a Rover on the field at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Different offenses, different situations, down and distance will be a big part. Like I think you're going to see more people on and off the field. That's good and bad. But there are going to be times when you're going to see more people coming into the game and all. Now, if the studs are healthy, if the starters are healthy, if you can get those four linebackers and boundary guys and keep them healthy, then those are all guys who can do everything that Tony White's going to ask. If they're not healthy, then they're going to have to piecemeal with some of the reserve guys to allow them to only be asked to do the things they're good at, rather than asking a nickel guy to run fit. They'll be able to make decisions on who's healthy and who's on the field.
DP, last question. Yesterday we was asked about kind of what position Coach Rule would kind of be over, like a TO being an offensive coordinator. What was Coach Rule's demeanor? How was he out there on the football field? And did he gravitate to one particular group over another?
CEO. Got to touch them all. Got to touch them all.
Yeah.
Because everybody's new except for Coach Rayola. Everybody's new. And he's got to learn. This is the first time that Matt Rule gets to see them off film, on field, in his stuff. Like the first time somebody can say they can cook and tell you they can cook and can show you them cooking until you need for them to cook in your kitchen, on your clock. Everybody's learning. He's trying to learn everybody. It's a lot. That's a lot of space for him to cover when you're not used to covering all that space. He's getting acclimated as well.
DP, we appreciate you.
Y'all be good now.
Hey, thanks, brother. You give me your best Go Big Red, DP.
Give you my best what?
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
He could go Big Red. He couldn't say it too loud. He was probably still in the stadium. DP signing off with the practice report on the Captain's Show with me and Bach.